we do a lot in the community. Our officers are out more than ever in the city of Philadelphia doing community events. One bad apple, and it's in every profession, can spoil the whole load. But let's turn that around. We're out there doing the job. We answer the call no matter what. We don't get to pick and choose what we do, but we're out there for the folks in the city. I think that we do get a bad play sometimes. I think we need the help out there, and I believe that there's a lot of things that could be done better. And, the common denominator should be that you're here for the citizens of Philadelphia and to keep crime down. And that's what we need to do.
Welcome to the Lion's Den, hosted by Lance Bachman.
Hey everybody, welcome to this edition of the Lion's Den. I have a special guest. Everyone here in Philadelphia knows him, and around the country actually at this point. John McNesby, president of FOP. We're going to talk about a lot of hot issues, from crime in Philadelphia to people's opinion on him. 50% of the city's behind him, 50% in front of him trying to block him. And I appreciate you coming in.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate the invite. Been head of the FOP since 2007. We've done a lot of good things for our officers and for the city of Philadelphia and the community. Was a lifelong resident of Philadelphia, and now moved up to Bucks County. We have a great group of officers there. I spent 20 years on the street in patrol. I took the job as head of the FOP as a cop. Said I would never take a promotional test while I sat there because I believe in representing cops. Could have sat there, been promoted 3, 4, 5 times. I didn't want to do that. We're out with the troops. I'm available, and they know that, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, and when they call my cell phone, they get an answer.
I will give you that. You do answer your cell phone. When I text you, you text me back. Like, you're not someone's going to hide like a lot of other people. I mean, you are in a political role, though. I mean, even though you represent the police, but I told you when you came on this show, I'm going to be honest, direct questions to you. You are in a political role. You realize that, right?
Right. But I'm a normal guy. I don't believe that I'm above anybody. I don't believe that I'm below everybody. I believe to treat everybody with respect, treat everybody equally. And if you call, you deserve a call back. If you text, you deserve a text back. If you knock on my door, I'll try and get you in as quick as possible. So that's the kind of, not only me, but that's the entire team atmosphere that I set at the FOP to make sure that we're accessible, not only to that, we're part of the neighborhood. I mean, we moved the building, spent almost $10 million to move it up into the northeast area. We created a lot of jobs. We opened it up to the community. We're partners with the community. We're not just there. We're partners.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are doing weddings there, doing banquets, all types of stuff. It's a beautiful facility.
And we also like to contribute to the neighborhood itself, to the different civic associations, to the different teams, to the different charitable events. So it's not, we just don't come to work and represent cops. There's a lot more to that, and that's something that I wanted to create when going up there and taking this position, is to be more active in the community.
So you've been the president now about 15 years in Philadelphia.
Right.
Of it. And right now in the climate we're in, the police are under high scrutiny. We're going to talk about that. But before we talk about that, let's talk about the crime rate in Philadelphia. I pulled some statistics here this morning, right off of the database. Crime's up 17%, homicides across the city. Homicides, that's just homicides. Violent crime, just violent crimes, rape, aggravated assault, gun charges, things like that are up over 20% as of this morning from last year. I mean, why do you think that is when Chester just came out with their report and they're down 58% in violent crimes, which is right next to Philadelphia?
I don't think you can point your finger to one thing. I think there's many contributing factors. One of them is the collaboration between between City Hall, the police department, the DA's office. They need to work together to come up with a formula to do this. It's not hard. They can get their finger back on the pulse of this and fix it, just like Chester. But you have to be willing to work for it. I think they're not talking to each other. I think that we have a sense of arrogance in the district attorney's office where, it's his way or no way, and that doesn't work. I mean, you might not see it, and now you are starting to see the public disdain for him from City Hall, from Jim Kenney, also from Danielle Outlaw, the commissioner, and it trickles down to the cop on the street. And right now, like you said, it's not a popular job to become a cop, but we have to go out there every day and protect the community. That's what we have to do. We live here. We have to take care of the city of Philadelphia.
I mean, as everyone knows, you and Larry are not fans of each other, but you guys known each other a long time.
Exactly.
You know, people ask me, how do I know Larry and how do I respect him? The same thing I said to you. I respect anyone that believes in their mission. And he believes in his mission. And you actually said he absolutely does, right?
He does. He's believed that for 30 years. I have no respect for him, and I'll tell you why. After he won the primary, I was called down to the Democratic City Committee. Bob Brady asked me to come down and meet up with him. I explained that I knew Larry Krasner. Anyway, I went. He's going to be the DA. No Republican's going to beat him.
So you don't think Peruto has a shot?
I like Peruto, but no, I don't believe he does because of the 7-1, 8-1 registration. It's an uphill battle. But I go down, I meet him. We agree to disagree on certain things. We shake hands at the end of the meeting and say, listen, we're not going to beat each other up. I won't beat you up. You won't beat me up. I'll work with you where we can. And we'll do what we need to do. I don't need an enemy in the DA's office. Shook hands with the guy, left, and the next morning he was on a radio show blasting me and the FOP. So, you know, when I shake somebody's hand, I give them my word. And listen, you know, if we have a difference, we'll talk about it in private. But we shook each other's hand. Less than 12 hours later, he's trashing me on radio and the FOP. So that's my respect for Larry Krasner.
If you like this content and you're trying to grow your business, follow me at Lance Bachman and Lance Bachman Digital on Facebook. LFG, time to grow. Let's just talk about the system as a whole, because me and Larry's had some. I believe the system needs to be blown up for the most part. I even said that to you earlier. I don't. You know, you said to me prostitution's a gateway to other things. Drugs are a gateway. Drugs addiction, and I just said nobody wants to be a prostitute. Like no one grows up. No little boy, little girl says I want to. It's a drug problem. It costs more to keep someone in prison than to send them to college. It costs more to keep people in prison than to send them to a VOTEC school. I mean, the majority of people that are in prison, I think it's almost up to 50% of all prisons now, are people that are in there for violating probation or parole with a misdemeanor offense. That's insanity. I mean, do you believe people should be in prison for drugs and smoking weed? And,
no, I don't. I believe
it's lunacy at this point.
I believe some of the, and we've rectified a lot of that in the city. And our prison population is down below 50% from what it was a few years back. I don't think that somebody should be held in jail at a high bail for smoking a joint or for being caught with a joint or low-level offenses and vandalism, so forth. So that I absolutely am 100% on board with you. The other offenses, if it's continuous, it's over and over again, they're going to be put in jail until they get in front of a judge. And a lot of this stuff is backed up because of the pandemic. Courts were closed for quite some time. I believe some of this money should be shifted to programs where you can get counseling, you can get help, drug addiction. A lot of that should be spent there. Listen, you know.
Why isn't it though?
Listen,
I'm just curious.
Why
isn't it?
I have no, you have to ask the people that are running and have the purse strings. You know, it's just like why do people still use rotary phones? You know, they're thinking 30 years ago. If you continue to think the way things have always been, you're always going to get the same result, and that's not going to work. You need to shift some of that and use your head, think outside the box, put some of these people in programs, offer employment, give them a shot at the title. If they strike out, then that's on them. Then you gave it a shot. But there is other ways to do things. But again, there's that element that needs to be kept in jail. I mean, a lot of these shootings, a lot of these high-level crimes that we have in Philly are repeat offenders. And I must say this a half a dozen times a week, Lance. There's not a lot of people committing a lot of crime in the city of Philadelphia. It's a small amount of people committing a lot of crime, and they know there's no repercussion. They're going to be able to get a sweetheart deal. They're going to be able to get out of jail and continue to do it. A lot of these shootings are offenders that should be on jail. The officer who was shot a couple weeks ago, very lucky, grazed his head. That guy should have been on house arrest. He wasn't. He was let go. 3 or 4 open cases. I'm sorry. He should be kept in jail. And they're the people committing a lot of crime. And he was only 16.
Oh, he was only 16.
16 years old.
Now, you say that, you believe in drug rehabilitation. You say Larry won't work with you guys, right? Because I seen the interviews, you go back and forth, you guys just trash each other. Don't you think it'd be easier because he's going to win again. So you got another 4 years.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
You might have another 8 years. There's no limit on being a DA, right? So he could run. Don't you think it'd be easier for you two just to say, listen, let's get in a room, work this out. We're better together than we all apart?
I've made that offer a number of times since the incident we've talked about, and to no avail. He does not do that with us. He does not work with us. He will not meet with us. Will not discuss anything with us. Same with the city of Philadelphia on the mayor's end. Same with the police end, the command staff. The same thing. Like, for instance, a lot of these programs that help Chester bring their crime rate and murder rate and everything down, 50-some%, were in place before he took over. He took over and got rid of them all. Got rid of every one of them. Every one of the programs that Seth Williams had, that DA Lynn Abraham had, were gone. He went a whole different direction, and now we're seeing the results of that. That being said, now he's trying to bring things back, and I don't know whether that's successful or not.
So you would meet Larry if he said, hey, listen, let's have lunch and talk and try and work this out?
I would meet Larry in this room at 12 o'clock if you set it up.
How's your relationship with the commissioner of police? Because I heard that's very rocky.
With Danielle Allo?
Yes.
No, I have no issues with her whatsoever. None. We talk. I just spoke with her this morning. Whenever she needs something, she'll call me. If I need something, I'll call her. First of all, she's the first African-American female in a large city. When she came in, I met with her privately in the mayor's office before she was named. When she came here, we laid out the red carpet for her. We had a welcoming party, or not a welcoming party, a welcoming event for her at the FOP to bring all our officers in and get a chance. First ever, shake hands, say, hey, how are you? Do I think she stumbled on some things coming out of the block? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think she was overwhelmed. And again, you got to give somebody credit because she's coming from another department. She's coming from the West Coast, and she was not, the person that was supposed to be or thought they were going to be a successor. There was a number of people inside the Philadelphia Police Department that particularly didn't care for her and were setting her up for failure. It's one of them ones, and I say it all the time, put your bulletproof vest on backwards because you don't know who's going to shoot you in the back or stab you in the back. So she was coming in not knowing the personnel, not knowing the city, not knowing the politics in the Philadelphia area, and that's tough to begin with. So that, she had a lot to get over. I think, 2 years is a good framework to get moving, and I think she's there. I think, but again, she's not having any cooperation from anybody else. So,
how's your relationship with Mayor Kenny?
I talk to him. We get along. Do I agree with everything he does? No, absolutely not. But that's, the same thing with Mike Nutter. Got great relationship with him, and we didn't agree. John Street, same thing. And I help Temple class with John Street every month in the city.
So people have mixed views on you, right? Some people say it's a boys' club, it's old school. You guys have about 6,000-7,000 members.
Right.
Larry and some other people say it's predominantly white cops, all male for the most part. That's part of the FOP. When I've been up to the FOP, it seems very mixed to me, but that's just for the events I've attended, so I can only speak to when I go. So can you kind of comment on that? Because I'm sure you've heard the same things prior. Can you give us your take on that?
That's going to be a spin that they want to put on things. I mean, our building is open to everybody, and everybody uses it. Right now, we have the president of Soleil, Spanish-American law enforcement. He's up there holding an event today. They have an event this Friday night for a Latin dance. We've worked closely with all organizations, the LGBTQ. We opened our building to them, first ever. So, I mean, people are going to spin whatever they want. We get a take on the Proud Boys. That was complete nonsense. We're locked in, and if you ever dealt with we had...
you did back Trump, and that's where that came from.
We did not back Trump.
No?
No. In fact, Trump wanted to come into Philadelphia and have an event here, and we were able to hold them off because it's a Democratic city. What would we get? From back in, I don't want all zeros in my contract, But if you're looking at the FOP national sets the tone on who to endorse for presidential races, and we have no choice, we have no say. So we just sat back and did what we did.
Did they publicly?
They publicly endorsed Trump, absolutely.
So you just felt under that?
We have to, yeah. It's a bylaw. We can get fined.
Okay.
I mean, but on the other...
So they spun it that you backed them.
Right.
Because that's how I took it. I did not know that.
No.
So I'm glad you clarified.
Yeah, we're not...
that to
I
people.
mean, listen, I've met... Did I meet with Trump? Absolutely. a number of times on police issues. Would I go?
I don't think there's anything wrong with
Would I
supporting
go
Trump,
if
whoever
Biden
you
won? Yeah,
support.
whatever. If Biden invited us, we'd be there. Obama, we've met with him. So I mean, it's just business. That's what we do. But on the other hand, on the Proud Boys thing, we were locked in the building with Pence when he came on an official White House visit, and we couldn't get out. You know, they lock everything down, the Secret Service. So we're in a room like this, and we don't know who's out in the parking lot. I mean, how do you know a Proud Boy? I don't even know what a Proud Boy was until after that event, and they'll never be back. I can tell you that. So,
You know, officers right now are at an all-time high under scrutiny. You guys are having problems recruiting people. We're going to talk about that. I know you guys increased salaries, other benefits. You lowered the standard to a GED, I think, now at this point. Something equivalent. I don't think you even need a GED. But more important than that, the press is pounding that all police are bad. Right?
right.
What's your take on that?
It sells newspapers. It sells TV ads. We do a lot in the community. Our officers are out more than ever in the city of Philadelphia doing community events. One bad apple, and it's in every profession, can spoil the whole load. But let's turn that around. We're out there doing the job. We answer the call no matter what. We don't get to pick and choose what we do, but we're out there for the folks in the city. I think that we do get a bad play sometimes. I think we need the help out there, and I believe that there's a lot of things that could be done better. And, you know, the common denominator should be that you're here for the citizens of Philadelphia and to keep crime down. And that's what we need to do.
I believe, true with all my heart, Jim, that 99% of cops are good. 99.9.
Mm-hmm.
But the only problem I have is, why does the union keep representing the same 1% or 0.0? Because it's the same people, no different than the criminals you say keep coming
Right.
back. A lot of times it's the same cops with the same complaints.
Well,
and you represent.
that's a great question.
And I'm not trying to be a jerk
No,
to you, but it's just
that's a great
real,
question.
it's just-
And a lot of people don't know the answer to that, and I'm glad we have a chance to talk about it. We do not. You don't see the ones that we do not represent. When a cop gets fired, Lance Bachman gets fired, all right? We got to look at the circumstances of the case. You're not seeing us represent people that are out there raping people, beating females, doing this, doing that. The problem that we got failure to represent cases that, we had a couple guys in a district that were moving a few years back kilos of cocaine. They're suing me for not representing them. They pled guilty in federal court, yet I'm getting sued for failure to represent because we didn't provide an attorney. Yeah, that's crazy. Am I right? So, and I got 3 or 4 of them cases lying. So, I mean, that's just the normal stuff that we go through. But on the other hand, if you have 4 officers that are fired for the same thing, and the internal affairs investigation is so screwed up that they can't get right, we've sat with them. How can you fire Lance Bachman on today's date, 9/8 of 2021, and the investigation is not complete until March of 2022? So the first question we get in and say, well, was your investigation complete when Lance was fired? Well, no. Well, when was it complete? Or is this your first? Is this your outcome of the investigation? Well, no. Well, what happened there? Well, they made me change the outcome. So that's stuff you don't see in the media. They think we get there's a good.
But it is normally those same people coming back across.
No,
your
I don't
desk.
think so. No, Because you get one bite at the apple with us. If you come back a second, third time, you're out. I mean, come on, knock it off. But then again, we got to take that case into consideration because we're going to get sued.
So it's business. So I just want to be clear.
And I think
'cause I understand that because it's a business, right? You're
Right.
People don't understand you are in a business.
Exactly.
So no different than me. I got to determine the risk of every decision I make, right?
Exactly.
So when something comes across your desk, because I'm not saying it's right, because I still think it's wrong, but I can at least understand, I think people understand, somebody comes across your desk twice, like there's drug dealers, let's say 5 years earlier, there's drug dealers.
They would never be there. We don't have drug dealing, rape, accusations.
I know, but now you're being sued.
Yeah.
Let's just say it's a double complaint of being rough with somebody, right? The second time around. If you don't represent that person, you know you're being sued.
Absolutely.
Okay. So it becomes you might not morally agree, but the business that you have to run
It is the decision that we have to make.
And anyone that owns a business can understand that 150%.
Yeah. Now you're looking at a guy like the staff inspector during the protests, Joe Bologna, who was persecuted in the media for beating a Temple student. He didn't
Is that
beat,
the kid with the bike? Or
with
is
the
that
bike?
kid?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he everything that pointed to the direction of the case being withdrawn, not guilty. He throws everything's consistent with the cut on the head is consistent with him falling and the helmet. The ME made that. All cases of that or of that nature are investigated by the medical examiner. He came in, testified just like we thought, just consistent with his helmet falling on the guy's head. The student himself gets up and admits he lies, threw bodily fluid on the officer, went through the whole thing, said, yeah, I lied because he was on my friend and this and that. That's going to be eventually adjudicated in court with a not guilty. We know that. Joe Bologna knows that. Larry Krasner knows that. So, I mean, there's cases like that. And another thing, which is very, very prominent in Philadelphia, is if it's a high-profile case, they'll throw the officer under the bus and say, listen, John, I know, I know what you got to do, and no hard feelings, but we got to get rid of the guy now because we have the media on our ass.
Really?
So, oh my! If that don't happen at least 8 to 10 times a year, the 6 narcotics.
That's horrible. Now that's
It is.
horrible.
The 6 narcotics guys, a half, 3 or 4 years ago, all found not guilty. Everybody made such a big deal that these guys, they were no good. They were this. If you sat one 10-minute session in court and listened to the testimony, I mean, unbelievable. Those guys were persecuted. Now they're all back on the department. Some of them have been promoted, and they're doing a great job for the city. But the city, they left them hanging out to dry, and it just ain't right. And they do that a lot. They do that. The city does that over and over and over again.
So, I'm glad you clarified that because that's always been. I think you know that because you've seen me say I never understood why you keep representing.
Right.
And now I get it. If it's a business decision, if people that plead guilty in federal court to drugs are suing you for not representing,
Right.
The
It's
guy
insane.
roughing up someone is definitely going to.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah.
So, do you think, because you're having a hard time recruiting, you are, everyone is right now, police officers, do you think this profession is going to become robotics? I do believe they are going to automate policing, meaning robots will eventually hit the street, they'll start using more surveillance, technology.
I don't. Listen, we can't keep cars on the street. We can't. I mean, we have. I mean, honestly, we can't get running water in districts. They're not going to have They're not going to have that in Philly. I can tell you that right now. And I thought we were. Listen, I thought we were doing a hell of a job recruiting. We have a great recruitment unit, and we were doing a great job until all this bang your chest reform came down a year and a half ago. I worked with personally with Commissioner Ramsey when he was here, and the city and the FOP to come up with a program where we could go out and we can recruit from African American colleges and universities, places around the country, military bases, all places where we know we could cherry pick from other counties, from other cities. It was working great. And then all of a sudden, we had to get a charter change to be able to recruit from outside the city. Once you're hired, you have a year to move in. Great idea.
Yeah.
It's done everywhere. They did it with Danielle Outlaw. They brought her in. She wasn't a city resident.
Correct.
All right? So now, city council, they want all Philadelphia residents. They don't even do any background. They don't do any prep work. They don't realize what they're voting for. Now you vote, you have to live in the city for a year prior to being hired. Well, who's going to move to the city of Philadelphia hoping to get a job?
No.
You want to know you have a secure position, then you come in. It's business. They didn't do that. You have to be a resident for a year. And they say, well, what about, going to high schools, going to Lincoln High School, Washington High School? I said, you could do all that, but you still have to be 22 to be able to get the job. So you have that gap of 4 years. People aren't going to wait around. People may get in trouble. People may lead to other paths. You don't want that. You want to be able to have and get the best. And they changed that up, and against the advice of the FOP, against the advice of Commissioner Outlaw, against the advice of Jim Kenney, and they made this decision, and now they're living with it. And we're not getting any candidates.
Have you tried to, do you think part of it's the climate we're into? Like, my son wanted to be a cop, and I begged him not to. And I think being a cop's a profession. Like, I had the utmost respect for police. Like, I do with all my heart. But why would you want that job in this environment where you just said they're going to hang you at a moment's notice?
Listen, people don't get up and decide overnight. It's got to be in your blood. It's got to be in your heart. It's got to be in your family. There's all contributing factors to wanting to become a cop. And I think that fire still burns in people. They want to be cops. My daughter wants to be a cop. Am I happy
What do you
about
say
it?
to her?
Listen, follow your heart. Follow your
But
heart.
do you want her to be a cop
Do
truthfully
I
in this
absolutely
environment?
not? No.
Okay.
No, absolutely not.
And
But-
and it's an honorable job. It's a great job.
Right.
They're heroes.
and they got great representation. So, no, but anyway, I mean, I think that, they need to use their head in city council. There's reform. I work with Attorney General Josh Shapiro, good friend of mine. And we worked together to put when this came out about reform. He says, what can we do? So we started going back and forth, and we came up with a database where if Lance Bachman got in trouble in 6 other departments and left and took his baggage to another department, there was no mechanism in place to red flag that officer. Now we have that, and we agreed to it. And people are saying, why'd you agree to that? And I said, well, why do we want somebody sitting next to you that's going to be a problem for you in the future or us? Same thing with drug testing. People went ballistic when they talked about we gave into urinalysis and then further went into hair testing. Why would you let them do that? Well, number one, why would you want to be sitting in a patrol wagon next to somebody that may be high on cocaine? Number two, it brings a business decision. We were able to work with Blue Cross to bring our insurance down because now we mandate this, and this as far as drug testing, and that brings your usage down. So there's a lot of things that people don't see. They just see, bang their chest, reform this and that. There's a lot of things behind the scenes that we do that people don't see.
A lot of the cities that did cut police budgets, including Outlaw's old city, crime rates through the roof.
And they want it back. They want the money back. They're screaming for the police. Listen, if you're sitting home and somebody's going through your window, you're dialing 911, you want somebody coming.
Oh, yeah.
Right now in Philadelphia, you're dialing 911. You got a long wait.
Everybody wants to say something about a police officer
Until
need
you
a
need
police
them.
officer. And I say it all the time,
You hit the nail on the head there.
like people have lost their marbles in this country. Like criminals don't care about you one iota and respect you. They will do
Right.
bad things to you. The only one stopping them is if you have a gun or a police officer.
Right.
And if you think anything in
Well, thankfully, they haven't went to that extreme in Philadelphia. In fact, they didn't cut our budget. We're getting more equipment and training and body cameras, which we need. And I think that's a good thing. And people won't come to your city, won't come to your community unless they feel safe. And you can't invest. There's no money. There's no dollar amount investing in public safety.
Now, let's talk about that, body cams. I read an interesting stat, and I started reading a few articles knowing that you were coming on. Do you believe every officer should be wearing a body cam?
I think it's a great tool if used properly. I think it exonerates an officer more. A lot of frivolous complaints. When you go back to the body camera and show them, look at this. And then they're like, wow, they back off. So I think body cameras are a good tool. It's a tool of the future. I think tasers are a good tool of the future. Do I think robots are at this point? Probably not. But,
Well, look where you're sitting.
yeah, right. But no, I think it's a good tool. I really do.
So I heard defense attorneys are trying to reverse the ones that were screaming body cams. The conviction rate with police officers wearing body cams are almost triple than without.
Right. So you can't lie your way out of it. But again, I think it should be a positive tool with a body camera. I think the city and our police department is going in the opposite direction with that. I mean, you have a body camera on and you get out of the car without a hat on and you're wrestling with somebody. They're giving you for a violation. They're giving you a reprimand for not wearing your hat. I mean, nobody
You're
thinks.
joking, right?
I'm not joking. No, this is the
Come
mindset.
on.
I'm not kidding you.
Come on.
We have a stack of discipline notices for officers for not
Who's
wearing.
doing the discipline? Who's writing this up?
They again reform-minded people. That's their job.
But
but they take it.
They can't be welcome to have a beer in your place after you see
Listen,
that.
they take it 0 to 60. You get somebody who's thinking about putting a hat on, or who's thinking about these little infractions when you're jumping out of a car trying to save somebody. Nobody.
If I dial 911, to any officer out there listening, you would show up to my house in your underwear. Just make sure you have your weapon, please.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
And your hat on, especially in Philly, or you're going to get jammed up.
That's lunacy.
That's something we're fighting that right now. I mean, listen, some people take their job way too serious. I think the person in that area right now is taking it way too serious. But hopefully we can resolve that and get rid of that pile of discipline.
What would you say to the community that's out there walking the streets, bashing the police, saying all these negative things? Because they don't realize how much the police do. I mean, a school just lost their computers. You replace the computers. You guys just gave 1,000 book bags out for kids. Like, they don't understand all the things that you do and police officers do, and even taking money out of their own pockets a lot of times for kids.
I think we got a great group of officers doing a lot. We're doing a lot. I don't think that the uproar is that bad. We're out there doing what we need to do to get our name out there to help people. We're not out to hurt people. And I think most communities know that we're there, and they know that if they need something, that we'll be there. There's a few people led by the media that turn around and they portray the officers as negative, as not a positive in the community, and that's a shame. That's sad. But on the other hand, we know what we're doing, and we're going to keep doing, especially in our union, what we're going to be doing.
It's funny you say the media, because I always say you're sitting inside of a digital marketing agency. We're really an advertising agency. That's what we are, right? Just online. I always say the media is the best advertising aid. If you want eyeballs, just do what they do. Scream fire. Everything's a nightmare. It's all bad. You believe the media is pushing a lot of the agenda.
Their agenda is bad. It's not positive. And, somebody pretty high up once told me, never battle anybody that has more ink than you. So I've always kept that in the back of my mind. There's a point where we have to get it out. And, we do that. We have a great setup to get our word out. But then, when do you stop? I mean, you don't want to continue to bang your chest because you're not going to beat them. They have the ability to do what they need to do, especially on TV. And now with the digital age, everything's out there. So, I mean, listen, we know what we do. We try and promote that. And if it sells, it sells. If it doesn't, we know what we did at the end of the day.
Let's talk about all the good you do, because you do a lot in the community. You love Northeast Philadelphia. You love Philadelphia. You're proud. I mean, you're a tough guy. I mean, you're not a lay-down guy. You're not going to just roll over for anyone, right?
Right.
But you do so much that people don't realize. Can you just tell me some of the things that your police officers and FOP do? Just name, because I got like 20 things here. I don't want, but I think the community really needs to realize what an impact you have.
We started out when I came on. We partnered with Janie Blackwell and given at the convention center. Thousands of homeless kids bikes. I mean, that's unheard of. People say, "Why do you do it?" Well, why not? These kids have to have a Christmas too. Computers. We had we furnished computers to schools, backpacks every year. Filled with school supplies that these people are struggling to buy, especially now during the pandemic. Reward money. We set a reward fund up for high-end cases, that hurt the community. You don't have to be a cop. Let's bring them in.
Which I heard the reward money actually found the girl that was hit and run, the teenage girl on the bike.
Yeah, teenage girl hit and run, killed in West Philadelphia. We put a $5,000 reward up. He was brought in within a couple days, and it's not arrest, conviction. You bring them in. You're getting paid. You're getting paid that day, and it's confidential. Moving on to the bikes, moving on to the different cancer thing. We see people that are sick, kids that are sick. We contribute. If we can contribute to teams and communities, we had just 2 weeks ago. We had a West Philadelphia football team, supposed to go to Savannah, Georgia, for a tournament. 20 kids waiting for the bus. The bus never shows. Now they're saying they can't get a bus. These kids are upset. They're 10, 12 years old, been looking forward to this all summer. We got vans. We got them out to Georgia, brought them back 3 days later, and we fed them the whole time they were there. That's what we do, man. I mean, it's not...
And people
don't see that. Yeah, you don't see it, and we're not calling cameras to do it. That's not why we do it. But, how do you leave 12, 20, 12-year-olds, 10, 12-year-olds, 20 of them sitting there, with all their equipment on a corner, which they were. They were waiting for the bus to pick them up, and we couldn't get a bus driver because of the pandemic. Well, you're supposed to be here 15 minutes ago. But we got them out there. They played the game. I don't know how they did, but that's just a number of things that we do throughout the year.
Give me something that the public doesn't know about John McNesby. Give me something they don't know about you.
Listen, we get painted in a bad way. I get painted in a bad way sometimes. But I get up every day. I say, follow your gut. Do what you think is right, and I think that leads us to the right path. I am not ashamed of what I do. People give me a bad rap about, I'll push back. You push me, I'm coming back at you, man. You're sitting on, we get a bad rap for some things about the protesters. Listen, if you're out there protesting, I have no problem with you protesting. That's the way, that's part of America, man. Go out and protest. Don't protest on a cop's lawn, calling his family and his daughters, vulgar names, then I got a problem with you. That's not protesting, all right? Other than that, they know if they call me, good, bad, or indifferent, I'm going to answer their call, and I'll give them the answer, the truth. And once I do, I get a lot of that. But once they do call me and we do talk, they understand, like, wow, like, I didn't realize that. You paint the whole picture, not just one little portion. Anybody can make anybody look bad.
What's next for John McNesby at the FOP? What's next? What's your big rocks? What are you trying to achieve?
My big rocks is trying to get a contract out for the officers who have been not working with one since July 1st. I think that'll be coming shortly. Better equipment, more manpower is key. You can't stand a roll call with 2-3 people. It's just not safe. We need more people in them ranks. We need to make sure the city's safe. And
How do you get more people?
Listen, I got to get in council, and I got to wake them up with everybody else and tell them they got to reverse that rule. There's a lot of good people that want to come to Philadelphia to work, and they can't because they're not going to come unless they know they got a job.
No one in their right mind would.
Yeah, like I said, they brought the commissioner in from the West Coast. You didn't have to live in the city for a year. Let us do the same. Let's go back to the way it was. And that was a good formula. We were bringing people in, and it was diverse. It was male, female, black, white, Asian, Hispanic. Good numbers. Let's get them back in. We need the help.
John, on the final roar, and I appreciate your time, on the final roar, what would you say to every young person that wants to be a cop? Why should they become a cop? Even though we both think it's a great, honorable job, but we probably wouldn't want it for our kids just because of the environment.
Do it. Follow your heart. Go out and
Just
do
do
it.
it.
If you want to be a cop, I encourage you. If you need help, you got any questions, call me. I'll lead you in the right direction, but you got to want to do it. And if you do want to do it, get it done.
Well, everyone, John McNesby, decide for yourself. What I will say is you changed my view and opinion on you, which wasn't a bad one. I just had some doubts about some things, and it takes a lot of guts to walk in here and answer questions. So I do appreciate that.
Thanks, man.
From the bottom of my heart. So watch this. Let me know if you like it. John, I wish you nothing but the best. I do mean it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for all you do for the police officers that are good, which the majority, 99.9, are good, and keep doing what you're doing because they need someone like you that's not going to sell them out.
Appreciate it, man. Thank
Right.
you.